Imagine a man is told that a child is his. So the man takes DNA tests to confirm, and several tests come back as negative, proving beyond doubt that the child is not his. Now, if years later someone else comes to the same man and says, actually, the child is yours, the logical response would be, no, tests have already been proven that he's not or she's not. It would be unreasonable for anyone to keep claiming that the child is his even after countless definitive proofs. Similarly, when it comes to theological and historical accuracy, if certain texts like the book of 1 Enoch, the Gospel of Barnabas, and other Gnostic Gospels have been thoroughly examined and shown to be pseudepigrapha, meaning false writings attested to biblical figures and proven to be outside of the authentic Christian doctrine, it's illogical for anyone to later claim that they are still part of the Christian faith. And this is the claim that actually Abba makes. He claims that Christians should read such books.
That's not the Bible, though.
No. Here's the thing about Christians. You don't read Christian history. This is written. I'm not making this up.
You're not making it up. I know the particular text you're talking about.
Okay.
But
look, Christians are not forced, not even encouraged to read such books that have been proven to be false. I mean, you yourself, you wouldn't want to wear fake clothing even though you know that it is fake clothing and that you've been warned that it is fake clothing. I don't think so. So why urge Christians to read books that have been proven to be false, or blame them for not reading their history and claim and reference it in these books? The thing is, once something is proven to be a forgery or an error, it can't be accepted as legitimacy any longer. Just as a negative DNA test removes any doubt about parentage, the historical and theological evidence removes any legitimacy for these texts within Christianity. But Abba asserts that Christians don't know their history while claiming to reference the forgotten books of Eden. Like, really? Yeah?
And one day Abraham was hungry. It's written not by me in your religious books.
Where?
Abraham was hungry. But it's biblical connected. It's a Christian book, not written by any one of my people. Itige, Abraham got hung the forgotten books of the Bible and the lost books of Eden.
The forgotten books of Eden are basically a collection of apocryphal books and pseudepigrapha books or pseudepigraphal books. I mean, they're called the apocryphal books within the Protestant context, and they're also known as the Deuterocanonical books within the Eastern Orthodox traditions and the Roman Catholic context. These books, as pseudepigraphal books, both for Jewish and Christian, have been definitively proven to be false and not legitimate Christian or Jewish books. And so, Christians are not forced to read pseudepigrapha or any apocryphal books. Anyone who does it, they do it in their own context of benefit to whatsoever. I mean, we have the scriptures and that's all for us. Like, why do you have a problem for us that we have the scriptures and you're thinking we are some sort of like, I don't know what to say, illiterate or can't read anything outside of that? This is canonical for us. But allow me to give this explanation in this manner for thorough understanding of these forgotten books of Eden. In between the 3rd and 2nd century BC, the Septuagint translation of the Hebrew Bible was made into Greek. This is the Old Testament written in Greek. This translation has the same books of the Old Testament that we have today in our 66 Protestant translation of the Bible. But this translation of the Septuagint included books like Tobit, Judith, Wisdom of Solomon, Sirach, Baruch, 1 and 2 Maccabees, and additions to Daniel and Esther as well, of which we don't have in our 66 books of the Old Testament as Protestant. And as an extension, the Eastern Orthodox ends with Psalms 150, whilst our Protestant Bible ends with Psalms 150. I just said 151, hopefully. Now, these books are known as Deuterocanonical books within the Orthodox and the Catholic Church, meaning second canon, and they are mostly known as the apocryphal books within the Protestant context. Now, as Christianity emerges in the early centuries and writings are preserved through a collection of books of which today we call the Bible, which includes both the Jewish books, which is the Old Testament, and the Christian writings, which are the New Testament. The Codex Vaticanus, that was written around, or that came up around the 4th century AD, is one of the earliest nearly complete manuscripts containing both the Old Testament of the Septuagint translation and the New Testament books. Now, Codex Vaticanus is written in Greek, to be specific, Koine Greek. Although, as I said, nearly complete manuscript, it's missing few books of the New Testament, like parts of Hebrew, 1 and 2 Timothy, Titus, Philemon, and the book of Revelation. Although, keep in mind that the Eastern Orthodox traditions and the Roman Catholic are using the Septuagint translation of the Old Testament within their Bible translations. And so, now between the 7th and the 10th century AD, a new Jewish Bible translation of the Old Testament called the Masoretic Text is made to be read in Hebrew, although this translation does not include the books which I spoke about, which are the Deuterocanonical or the Apocryphal books. Jewish scholars prior to the Masoretic Text translation only accepted books originally written in Hebrew or Aramaic. This was in 90 AD by the Council of Jamnia, although debated among scholars. And that is why the Deuterocanonical books or the Apocryphal books are not included in the Masoretic Text, and also for other various theological reasons. Now, fast forward to the Reformation era. The Reformers rejected these Deuterocanonical books as well because they were not part of the Masoretic Text. And I'm not saying mainly because of that reason, but also for other various theological reasons. The term coined to them by the Protestant was apocryphal books. But keep in mind, the Masoretic Text comes after Christianity. We can safely say it is somewhere well quite established and using the Septuagint translation, which had the Deuterocanonical books or these apocryphal books that we talk about. Now, the Roman Catholic Church and the Eastern Orthodox traditions are having these Deuterocanonical books already in their Bible translation. But as for the Protestants, that's why we don't have them, following the Masoretic Text and other theological reasons. But other writings have emerged in the early centuries, from 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and we can even say 4th and 5th century. And these writings are categorized as pseudepigrapha books. The word pseudepigrapha comes from the Greek word meaning false writing, and these false writings include both Jewish pseudepigrapha and Christian pseudepigrapha. Now, these pseudepigrapha books are both rejected by both Jewish scholars and Christian scholars. For Jewish pseudepigrapha books, we have 1 Enoch, although 1 Enoch is included within the Ethiopian Orthodox. Then we have the Apocrypha of Abraham, we have Jubilees, Testament of the 12 Patriarchs, the Book of Giants, just to mention a few. And on the New Testament pseudepigrapha books, we have the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Judas, the Gospel of Barnabas, Apocrypha of Peter, Acts of Paul, and Thecla, just to mention a few as well. These books are both rejected. These books are rejected for various reasons by both the Jews and Christians. And Christians in this concept, all the 3 traditions of Roman Orthodox and Protestant. Now, these books are rejected for false authorship, contradictions, and Gnostic influence, even lack of divine inspiration among them. So let me just add this in passing. Scholars like James Kugel, George Nickelsbeck, and Andrei Orlov have noted that Muhammad was likely exposed to Jewish and Christian oral traditions, including the Midrashim and the pseudepigrapha. And these have made their way actually into the Quran. For example, we have Surah 530 going on, which is about Cain and Abel. It reads, "Then Allah sent a crow scratching the ground to show him how to hide the disgrace of his brother. He said, 'Woe to me, I was not even able to see that this crow can hide the disgrace of my brother.'" The source of this was taken from the Jewish Midrash, which is, I can't read that, but the Rabbi Eliezer. Kindly note that the story is not found in the biblical accounts of Genesis, but well attested in the Midrash. And I have to say about the Midrash, just in passing, that they are not meant to be taken as historically accurate. These are interpretations for theological, and can even also extend to imaginative lessons and teaching about moral as well. So these are not texts that are meant to be taken literal, but it's so odd that Muhammad claimed to be a prophet of God. Even Allah took them to be literate. So yeah, that's something else. In Surah 19 from 22, we have the birth of Jesus under a palm tree. It says, under the palms of a childbirth drove her to the trunk of a palm tree. Then a voice cried out from beneath her, grieve not, your Lord has provided a stream beneath you. This is Surah 19 from 23. Now, the source is taken from the Christian apocryphal book, The Infancy of the Gospel of Pseudepigraphal, which is in chapter 20, just to mention a few. And I'm glad that if you've reached this far and blessed by the work that I do in this video, kindly join the circle of family and be part of us by subscribing so that you be kept up to date with all. But until the next video, be blessed.